Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tyler Barker. I serve as a coordinator within the Office of Parent and Family Programs here at Georgia Tech. I'd like to welcome you to our What's Buzzin' at Georgia Tech webinar series. Today we are focusing on academic engagement at Georgia Tech and our program your student be successful this semester and next semester and throughout the Georgia Tech year. We are joined by a team of great colleagues here today, and I'll let them introduce themselves in a moment. Parents and family members, if you have a question while our presenters are presenting, please utilize the Q&A chat box feature. The Q&A box should be to the right of your screen in the top right. Please drop your questions in there. We'll get to those after the presentation. Once again, if you have any questions, please utilize the Q&A feature. If you'll give me one moment, we will transition to the presentation.
Thought you were about to have me give John Stein's speech, Tyler. Dean Stein's.
No, he does have a twin, but not you. Sorry about that technical difficulty. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to our team to talk about academic engagement programs.
Okay, thank you, Tyler. So welcome, everybody. It's great for you to join us this afternoon. Thank you for taking the time to join us on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon as fall is here in the South. I'm Chris Reaves. I'm coming to you today from Peachtree City, Georgia, just south of Georgia. Like many of you, me and my colleagues that join us today, we're working in a bit of a hybrid format where we're in the office on some days and some days we're working remotely at home. So I'm, as I said, I'm Chris Reid. I'm the Executive Director of Academic Engagement Programs, which you see on the screen there. This is our unit, is part of the Office of Undergraduate Education. And under our unit, you find summer session, living learning communities, undergraduate research, and student innovation, which is what we're going to talk about here in just a second. But just as you know, as part of the Office of Undergraduate Education, also, we have as other units like tutoring, advising, the Career Center, the Honors Program, all fall under our office, which is under Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education, Colin Potts. So I'm joined by several of my colleagues, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves now. And why don't we go in order as we'll be presenting. So Christina, can you introduce yourself first?
Sure thing. Thanks, Chris. My name is Christina Wan. I am Assistant Director for Summer Session here at Georgia Tech. And I am responsible for our first year program, which is Ignite. So some parents may be parents of Ignite students, but also Summer Session oversees summer classes and a wide variety of other summer initiatives.
Kari?
Hi, everyone. I'm Kari White. I'm the Associate Director for Academic Engagement Programs for Living Learning Communities, and my primary work is with Living Learning Communities. So we have 5 first-year communities and 2 upper-class communities that I'll talk to you about today. And I'm happy to be here. I'm actually at Tech today. Today's my day, one of my days in the office.
Tyler, can you advance the slide, please?
Okay, Allyson.
Hi, so I'm Allyson Tant. I am the Program and Operations Manager for Academic Engagement Programs. And I also at one point oversaw undergraduate research, and that's what I'll be talking to you about today.
Hi, my name is Reid. I'm the Interim Assistant Director for Student Innovation and Undergraduate Research. And today I'll be speaking about student innovation.
All right, so you've met most of us that are part of the academic engagement programs. Our colleague, Demoris Walker, also works with Christina in the summer session. And so our plan today is to talk for about 10 minutes on each of our programs. And as Tyler said, if you have questions about those programs, please put those in the Q&A and we'll try to get to those at the end. So I'm going to hand it off now to Christina and she'll talk to you about summer.
All right, thanks, Chris. So as I mentioned, summer session does, a wide variety of things. We are in the summer, so that's pretty self-explanatory. We oversee summer classes and really the effort to make summer count for students. So students might choose to do a wide variety of things in the summer. Class are one of those things. And so part of that is our first year program. So if any of our folks on this webinar today were parents of Ignite students, that's our summer first year program. And so we oversee first year students completing 6 to 7 credits in the summer. This summer we were completely online, but in previous summers, and we hope to be next summer on campus as well. And so students live in the residence halls and they complete their 3 courses in 5 to 6 weeks of course time, and then a finals week, and also do lots of exciting things. So if you know any students that are juniors or sophomores or freshmen in high school, let them know that we have an exciting summer first year program. Also for current students, we oversee a couple of exciting. We oversee a summer minor program. That's where we partner with academic colleges to oversee students completing a minor or a certificate program, which is going to be typically for a minor 15 credits. Certificates can be a little bit less, and they can do that in one summer or a couple of summers. One summer is going to be 15 credits, and that one summer, typically that is going to be 1 full summer class, and then 2 early short classes, 2 late short classes. I'll explain exactly what that means. One of, for example, our popular ones that is done completely in that one summer is industrial design. So if a student is interested in taking an industrial design minor, which a lot of our engineers are, in particular, they can complete the 15 credits in one summer, and it is designed by industrial design to do that. And the classes are laid out so that a student can do that really successfully. The short, early, and late that I was mentioning a second ago, we also oversee kind of the parts of term of summer. So this past summer, we're really excited that we added a pilot Maymester, which is a 3-week summer session. So a student would complete 3 credit hours in 3 weeks. And so it was pretty much class for depending on the course and how the instructor set it up, it was going to be about 3 to 4 hours of class each day. Some of that could be group work, or it could be different things depending on what the instructor set up. But it is completing that one class in 3 weeks. It's really great for students who maybe have a little bit of a break before a co-op or an internship, or just want to have the rest of their summer to themselves and want to get one class out of the way in the first 3 weeks in May. And then we have full summer, which is going to be 11 weeks, and late short is going to be late 5 weeks. So that's going to start in June, and early short is going to be 5 weeks in May, starting in May. And then we also oversee some welcome activities for summer transfers. So this past summer, we had both GT 2000. We partnered with GT 2000 to offer a summer transfer welcome class, in short, kind of like GT 1000. And then we also offer some programming for summer transfers, and we're hoping to broaden that initiative in the coming years. We welcome quite a few summer transfer students in the summer, so we want to welcome them in a way that's really wonderful and make sure that they get started well. So if we could advance the slide, Tyler. All right, so this is just a little bit of, it's my last slide, a little bit of unique features about summer. So summer is our only semester that is per credit hour tuition. So if you are taking just 1 or 2 classes, you're going to pay for just 1 or 2 classes. It's really interesting and helpful for some of our out-of-state students because that cost comes down quite a bit to take a summer class, and it's often going to end up cheaper to take that summer class than it would be typically. If you are an in-state student using Hope or Zell, then it is going to cut the fees, because the fees are prorated as well, that aren't covered by Hope and Zell. Parts of term, again, so we're unique in that we have a couple of different parts of term, so you can finish a class earlier in 3 weeks, and then have your summer to yourself or go do your co-op or your internship, and then completing the minor. So our academic departments not just industrial design, we have quite a few academic departments in the different schools that partner with us to offer the minor and make sure that students can complete it in the summer. It's really helpful for students that may not have the interest or the time to complete a minor in their regular fall and spring. In addition, students that have maybe spent the fall or the spring co-oping are on their off semester. So typically students who co-opt in spring are going to need to take a full summer. So they could spend that full summer taking a minor and doing something that may be a little different than their major. So this is all of our contact information, and we're happy to hear from folks afterwards, and we'll be here for Q&A.
All right, thank you, Christina. So now we have Kari, who's going to talk about living and learning communities. Kari?
Thanks, Chris. So for our 5 first-year living learning communities, which is Explore, which is our College of Sciences community, Global Leadership, Grand Challenges, Impact, and the Honors Program, this year we have about 680 students in those 5 communities. And total, we have about 960 students. So all of our first year communities, those students can continue in their program in a variety of different ways. And so those students are included in our upper class LLC students, as well as we have 2 programs that I'll talk a little bit more about in a moment, WIST and Ihouse, where you have to at least be a rising second year to apply. And so on campus, we have our total LLC students, we have about 960 for this year. So the impact of 2020 this year and COVID has been that we do have a decrease in on-campus students, which encouraged us to design some opportunities for students to participate remotely in living learning communities, which is different from the way we've handled things in the past. You've always had to live on campus, and this year we've given, some LLCs have given the opportunity for students to participate remotely. Others gave students the opportunity to defer for the year or for the semester, and then try to, join either the spring or in next fall when they are able to come to campus. We've also seen some innovative programming come out of the situation that we've landed in this year with providing remote opportunities for living learning communities. So students who are taking courses in their living learning community classes are designed around remote or hybrid classes, and the teamwork classes, students are meeting in person in a hybrid model. So small groups will meet in the classroom for each class period, and they just rotate which group is in the room at that time. But for our activities and events, we have also done some very interesting things with small groups, as well as making opportunities available remotely. So even this week, in fact, we've had small groups of global leadership students going to Skyview in Atlanta and riding the wheel. So they were sending me pictures last night of that. This picture that's on the slide here is a Global Leadership Retreat. They went in small groups to Piedmont Park, and they did a scavenger hunt all around Atlanta. And so we are figuring out ways to have in-person opportunities because students already live together and are on the floors together and sharing space. It's a little bit easier because they're already connected in that way. They already feel connected in that way. And I think that the living learning communities for our first year students have provided a lot of that needed community building that all of our students certainly require. So students have to apply to become a living learning community student just after they've been admitted to Tech, but for our WIST and Ihouse communities, students actually will start applying this fall. So if students who are either in a first year LLC and who would like to choose WIST or Ihouse for next year, or are upper class students currently, or who are a first year student who are not in an LLC at all, they can apply to live in either WIST or Ihouse. WIST is our Women's Science and Technology community. They don't have an academic requirement, neither of these do, but they have a lot of opportunities for students to get involved both with faculty and research, as well as building community. So Ihouse is half Georgia Tech full-time Georgia Tech students and half exchange students. So as you can imagine, since we don't have exchange students on campus this year, we're actually all Georgia Tech students in Ihouse for the fall. And so we don't know what's going to happen for spring yet, but we'll see. But students are still getting an opportunity to participate in international opportunities, and their faculty advisor is, meets with them weekly virtually. They have coffee hours and that sort of thing that they have always done they're a really tight-knit group. Every year they get really excited about learning about different cultures and about each other. And so our women's science and technology program students have opportunities to take courses in that field, but also they are given opportunities to be mentored by a female faculty member and to do research if they would like to, and they can be paired with a mentor through that program. And if students are interested, they can check out the housing website for more information about when that application will open, or the WIST website and the Ihouse website. You can go straight to llc.gottech.edu and it will provide you with links to those communities. There's only about 48 beds in each of those spaces, so they are small. And those are suite style rooms that students live in on East Campus. So I hope that students take an opportunity to think about a living learning community and decide if it's right for them. And of course, please ask any questions at the end about the communities.
Yeah, thank you, Kari. Yeah, and I'll reinforce that. If you have a question, please put that in the Q&A section, and we'll get to those questions at the end. And as Kari mentioned, having community, there's no bigger community on campus than our research community. It's such a huge part of what Georgia Tech does. So Allyson is going to talk to us a little bit about some of the undergraduate research programs.
Okay, thank you, Chris. So yes, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what Undergraduate Research Opportunities Programs offers. And first and foremost is our Undergraduate Research Ambassadors. These are students just like your student that are here to help students find a research opportunity. And once they find it, help them set up for success in that opportunity. And so a couple of things that they do is right now, everything's virtual. So they are doing virtual office hours, and they will meet with any student who's interested in finding undergraduate research. It's on a Calendly link, and they can find that on our website. And they have a database, and that database is only used during the Research Ambassador office hours that shows up opportunities that are available for students. They also are focusing on workshops with a message. So they have a research coffee hour that is coming up. Last week they did a COVID-19 workshop to talk to students about how to get started in research if you can't find an opportunity. What are some other ways that you can go ahead and start building your skills in undergraduate research? They talk about what to expect in research, as well as a great summer research opportunities workshop. As it says here, they work with the Explore Living Learning community. They do some tabling and offer some office hours for Explore. And this fall, we will have our first ever virtual fall undergraduate research fair. We meet with faculty and grad students and ask them to come and present any opportunities that would be available for the spring 2021 semester at that fair. It's very relaxed setting, and students can get a chance to kind of talk to the faculty and the grad students one-on-one about what research in that environment would look like and how they can apply for that research opportunity. Tyler, can you advance? So there are a couple of different ways. You can do research for credit or research for pay, but for students who are interested in being paid for research, we offer the President's Undergraduate Research Award. This is a salary stipend or a travel stipend for a student. The salary stipend is for up to $1,500 for a student to do research, and that does include remote research. We currently have students that are a part of the fall PURA program that are doing remote research that are not necessarily in a lab. We're also still doing PURA travel awards. So if your student has been invited to present at a virtual conference, we still are providing registration cost for students who do apply for the PURA travel award. Normally it would be up to $1,000, but for these virtual conferences, I know we have a lot of students going to the Biomedical Engineering Society conference virtually, and that's running about $250 to $300 per student. And so we're able to continue to fund those so students can present the research. We have one more slide, I think. And last but not least is one thing we get asked a lot is how can I expand on a research opportunity or make it, if I'm really interested in going to graduate school or going to professional school, how can I do more in-depth research? And the research option is one of those programs. So the research option is a proposal thesis program. It's a transcript designator, so it shows up on your transcript. It allows students to do a minimum of 9 hours of research, as well as 2 writing courses. One is a proposal writing course and one is a thesis writing course. And I really want to indicate that it's very, very popular for students who are looking for their junior design option in computer science, as well as their capstone for neuroscience or their breadth elective for biomedical engineering. So if your students are looking for a way in those schools to complete a degree requirement, the research option is a really ideal program for them. And when we get to the question and answers, if you have any questions about how to reach out to ambassadors or how to set up an appointment with myself or Recha, please let us know. We're happy to meet with any students that we can at this time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Allyson. And so I'll just reiterate, how important research is to the academic experience of our Georgia Tech students. Over half of the students get involved in research with the faculty, and there's a lot of opportunities now. Even though some of the wet labs are about at 50% capacity right now due to COVID, but a lot of the research that's being conducted can be done remotely, and so students are participating in that. And a big part of research is we want to help students and commercialize their research and to help add value to society. And that comes in the form of developing startups, developing inventions, which is a big part of a huge growing aspect of Georgia Tech. And Recha is going to talk to us a little bit about some of those programs.
Thank you, Chris. For everyone that's on the call, we're so happy you're here. And we're just going to talk a little bit about innovation and entrepreneurship and what that looks like for your student to be involved. And so on Georgia Tech's campus, we have innovation and entrepreneurship in different forms, but on the screen, you will see 3 different ways in which your student can get involved. So we have classes. So CreateX is a fantastic opportunity for your students to be a part of. They have 3 different main classes. Startup Lab, which is working with students to develop their idea to prototype, where you're moving your idea into a physical product, and you get up to $500 to help you do that. And then we have Startup Launch that happens in the summer, and that is where students get $4,000 to actually work on their startup, and they actually get mentorship and just a whole host of different opportunities, meeting with lawyers, all of that business advice to actually take their idea, their product into an actual company. The other things that students can actually do is GT1000. And so for GT1000, which is for our incoming first year students, we actually have a class that's dedicated to familiarizing students with the Georgia Tech environment, but we also have it under different themes. And so one of those themes that students can participate in is innovation. And so in that class, we work with students to actually develop their idea as well, to think through what does that look like, to brainstorm, and we also have them work with and meet with the different partners that we have on campus. So for example, we have a technology incubator on campus. So we usually have them have those conversations about other opportunities that they can take advantage of with this organization. We also have them meeting, working and visiting the different maker spaces that exist on Georgia Tech's campus that students may not know about as first year students. The other things that students can actually do is do Ignite. Christina talked about that before at the start of the hour. And with the Ignite program during the summer, there's an innovation theme as well. And so our students who are participating in that program can actually run through exactly what we do for the first year students when they start in fall. And so if you have any students coming up that are in high school at the moment, this is a program that you would want to actually take advantage of. It's fantastic. And you can find out more about that on the Ignite website. The next thing we have is workshops. And so students, regardless of whether they're first-year students or seniors, they can jump into these workshops. Of course, they're all free, and they cover a host of different ideas, concepts. And so for this semester, for fall, we have the workshops that you see listed on the screen. And so if you're students thinking about customer discovery, financial management, marketing, how to patent their idea, pitching, all of that, that's there for them. And we have experts in these respective areas that are here from the Atlanta community that will be speaking to our students. These are all virtual classes and virtual workshops, but we've been getting some really good reviews that even though they're still virtual, they're still remote, that they're very engaging for our students. The other thing we have activities. And so the three of them that we thought that you'd be interested in are listed on the screen. Idea Buzz is where students have one-on-one counseling sessions. So they actually talk about themselves, talk about their ideas, and what the next steps they can do to actually build out that idea. The next thing that they can actually participate in is called Startup Ask Me Anything sessions. And so with this, we actually have an expert within the entrepreneurship community that students can ask a host of different questions, and it doesn't matter what that is involved. So whether it is how do I take my idea forward, to how do I get investors for my idea, to how do I get funding for my idea, whatever that looks like, this is a session that our students want to actually be a part of. Then the next one we have is Pitch Your Idea, where in this informal pitch session, very informal, students can ask different things. So they can make an app that I need a mentor in the space of app creation. They can ask also for up to $500 to work with their idea to build that out using the different things that are on or off campus. That's up to them as well. And so you can jump into you can find out a little bit more about that by going to our website that you see listed at the bottom of the screen, innovation.gatech.edu. We have different events and activities that we're doing that your student can be a part of. Tyler, do you want to go to the next slide, please? So one of the things that students can actually do, Tyler, can you click again for me, please? Perfect. Oh, okay. Yes. And so we have an innovation competition. This competition is open to all undergraduate students, again, regardless of level, regardless of discipline, regardless of their major. And so it has 3 parts to it: preliminary round, semifinal round, and a final round. The bottom of your screen actually shows the prizes that are associated with this competition. So the first place prize is $20,000 in cash, and also a patent filing covered by Georgia Tech, up to $20,000. You also get automatic acceptance into the Create a Startup Launch program. So that summer program that we were talking about before, where they get an additional $4,000 plus additional mentorship and coaching. That's something that your student may be interested in. The second place prize is $10,000 plus a patent filing again. That's covered by Georgia Tech, up to $20,000. And People's Choice, that anywhere in the world you can actually vote in, and that prize is $5,000. The one fantastic thing about this competition is that, again, it's open to all undergraduate students, but it's open to all ideas as well. And we work with your student throughout the entire competition to actually develop their idea, to work with them in terms of how do they pitch. This is a live before a studio audience typically, and it's broadcast both streaming and also on PBS, which is GPB in Georgia. And so we would love for your student to be a part of that. You can go to the Inventure Prize at gatech.edu website to actually find out a little bit more about what's going on in this area. Tyler, can you go to the next screen, please? Awesome. So you may be wondering, okay, so all of this is great and fun and fantastic, but what's happening right now during times of COVID? And so we're still having our workshops. All of these have moved to a virtual environment because we want to make sure that we don't have a limitation of space and the limited amount of students that can participate in that. The other thing is that our maker spaces are open as well. And so what we're doing is that if for those maker spaces, they're based on a head count. And so there's someone there to actually say at a certain time that someone who shows up, if they're outside that capacity that maker space can hold, that they come back at a later time. And so students can still walk up their walk. They can just walk up and participate in that maker space and different things that they're doing there. Classes, for most of our classes, they're also remote, but also they're very engaging. And so we tested this out during the summer for Ignite, where we were able to still work successfully with our students, try to build out an idea, build out a prototype in their different homes. And so we're continuing to do that for the fall semester. Events and activities. And so we're doing all of these remote, but we're trying to make these engaging as possible and using the different platforms available to us. And some of those are not just your typical platforms. And so we started using, for example, a new platform created by our Georgia Tech students called Gatherly, where it's more of an interactive environment. And so it's not your typical Zoom, it's not your typical Blue Jeans, it's not even your typical Teams, which we're on today. And so we're finding and we're looking for different ways to engage your student in the different things that we're doing so that they feel that they are part of a community at Georgia Tech. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Recha. Yeah, so Recha just had a workshop yesterday, Engage Ventures, an incubator that's tied closely to Georgia Tech, and some large companies did a presentation on pitch. There's like 60 students, I believe, showed up to that. So a lot of opportunities now. As you can see, we have a lot of great stuff going on at Georgia Tech. There's so much that your students can be involved in that extends beyond the classroom, all the way from summer where they can get a jump start on their academic experience to doing a minor that they might be interested in and make a more affordable option summer is. And then living learning community students can engage with like-minded students interested in certain aspects of society, where that might be research or that might be leadership. And so they can engage with those students. Same as research, if you have a student who's interested in getting involved in going to graduate school, professional school, or learning skills where they can present their work or get published, research is a great opportunity for them. And then lastly, student innovation, one of our biggest growing areas. Students can take their research, commercialize it, and develop an invention or a startup company. So a lot of wonderful things to do at Georgia Tech. And if we have any additional questions, then we can answer those now.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. And we got one question here, which I believe is for Christina. If you could just touch on it. For the summer sessions, are the students required to be on campus, or are there online/remote options available?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there are lots of different options in a summer. So when the class schedule opens typically that's going to be mid-spring, there will be tags and descriptions to show students which classes are available in summer online or oftentimes study abroad. They're on different campuses or on campus, and what mode the form of, or what format the class will be in, essentially. And so there are online options for sure.
Great, and it seems that we have a follow-up to that as well. Could you repeat if the tuition for the summer semester minors can be paid with the Zell Miller funds?
Yep. So are applicable in the summer. And so students typically, though, will want to, if they did not indicate initially that they wanted to take summer, they will need to indicate that to financial aid. And there's a very clear process on financial aid's website to contact them, to say, hey, I'm planning to take summer, and they will tell you all the paperwork that needs to happen to do that. But yes, Hope and Zell are applicable.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Christina. And the next question that we have is about GT1000. If you or anybody else from the team wants to tackle this one. For GT1000, I understand there are various types of classes. How do you figure out which class is most appropriate for you?
And I can chime in on that because I think Christina answered some of these in the chat itself, but just to follow up, yeah, so you can talk to your academic advisor about this. Usually if they're offering a major specific GT1000, that would be the one you would want to take. But obviously there's a lot of theme related GT1000 classes. Recha talked about the innovation theme class. We also have a research theme class, sustainability themes, leadership themes. So there's a lot of theme sections. And so students would just sign up based on their interest of a particular theme if they're not, if they're not taking a major specific section of GT1000. If they want to find out more about GT1000, obviously Lacey Hodges, our colleague, runs the program GT1000, and she can answer any of your questions in detail.
Thank you so much, Chris. The next question that we have, Recha, I think you may be able to answer this one. How does an undergraduate find a mentor for research? Through the research ambassador, or asking faculty members directly?
That's probably actually a question best answered by Allyson. So we'll switch to her. We have so many people on board, Tyler.
Yeah.
So Allyson, you want to answer that question?
Absolutely, I do. And Recha put in a great response to the question. So yes, students can definitely reach out to our research ambassadors. Like I mentioned, we do have a database that we utilize during the research ambassador office hours that list some opportunities that faculty are currently looking for students for. But ultimately, if students are trying to find a mentor for research, they need to be talking to the faculty. And they can also talk to the research scientists. They can go to the GTRI, but yes, they need to be reaching out to faculty, and they can do that via email. They can go to their office hours. They can, if they're having a class with someone they want to mentor them in research, go and talk to them after class or bring it up after class. So that's the best advice I can give for a student is talk to your faculty, and if that can be a little intimidating, definitely reach out to our research ambassadors. They're here to help. Thank you.
Of course, thank you so much, Allyson. Parents and families, please continue to drop your questions and drop your comments. We would love to know how your student and their experience has been thus far this fall semester as it relates to their academic engagement. So please drop questions in the Q&A and comments. I do have a sort of just a hypothetical question for Kari. If my student is a part of the LLC and they are introverted and are struggling to kind of still make friends and, branch out, make connections, any advice from me as a parent to kind of help them get, more involved and just kind of step outside the box?
Yeah. When I talk to students or parents about this, I always remind them that you get out what you put in. And that's definitely true in a living learning community too. We offer a lot of programming and opportunities for students to engage with each other and with faculty and with our staff. And as well as with upper class LLC students, we have a lot of mentorship programs and legacy students who are involved and engaged. But it really requires the student to show up, whether that's virtually this year or otherwise. A lot of our opportunities are still in person. So it really requires them to open their door and step out or get online and actually engage with that event or opportunity. And once they do that, we find that everything else just sort of falls, even for our introverts. One of the great things about participating in a living learning community is that you already feel like you have a connection to the other students in the program because you were all selected, you applied and were selected for a program together. And so there's already an initial barrier that's been reduced. And that's helpful for students, I think, particularly for students who may typically be more introverted. And so, but again, and I think it's true for all students, regardless of whether they're in a living learning community, they have to make that initial first step and talk to their RAs in their buildings if they're living on campus. If they're not living on campus and they're in a GT 1000, for example, they have team leaders who they can talk to about clubs and organizations and other things that might interest them, but it will require them to take the first step. We can lay it all out for them and just keep providing and providing and providing, but they have to log on to that first thing or show up to that first thing in order to get started. But once they do that, they will feel, much more connected and also willing to take the next step, right? Once they do it one time, it'll be much easier. But those personal connections can really help, particularly if they're living on campus. Regardless of a living learning community or not, I would suggest, RAs are a great place to start if you're not in a community already.
Thank you so much. And Kari, just in follow-up to that, for the parents or families who may have joined the webinar late, if they have a student who perhaps isn't a part of an LLC this semester, but heard this presentation and really wants to get them involved next semester, is that possible? And if so, how would they go about doing that?
Sure. Well, we don't know yet, honestly. Typically, no, we would not take a mid-semester, applicant, but this year's different. Everything is up in the air at this point, and because we allowed students to defer in many of our LLCs to spring, we may have opportunities for students to join. If we do, they'll be posted on our Living Learning Community website by November. So we'll have all of that information on the llc.gatech.edu website as soon as we sort of figure out what that might look like for students. And we're working with Housing and Residence Life and trying to determine exactly what will be possible on the living side, as well as for our communities who are offering remote options. My inclination is to say that yes, we will be offering opportunities for students to join in the spring. For those who aren't, those are the questions that we're still trying to answer, is how do we navigate that? We don't want students to feel like they are being left out because of a situation beyond their control, right? And so that's where we're trying to make sure that we're doing everything possible to ensure that students have these opportunities. But by November, we should have something on the website for sure about what students can do for spring. That was a long answer to a short question. I apologize.
Okay, that's perfect, perfect. More information, the better. The next question that I have, I believe, is for Christina, if not for somebody else. Would summer semester classes be online or hybrid? If hybrid, what percentage is face-to-face?
Yeah, I was just typing an answer to that. So we'll finish that as soon as I finish answering here. So typically in a summer, we're unique in that we actually have always, or for quite some time now, we have offered fully online classes. So that was true pre-2020 as well. That was through our professional education area. They have run fully distance classes for quite a few years now. And so they did this summer as well. So, you know, we can't predict too much about next summer. At this point, we're really, as you all kind of can imagine, we're really just able to kind of sometimes take it one day at a time. But I would imagine that some classes would be fully remote, and then there would be options of hybrid. There would be options of lots of different things. You know, I can't say for sure, but we have, it has been typical that we have offered summer fully online classes, and students again would be able to see that in the class schedule. And then the hybrid question is really typically going to be one for their instructor once they sign up for a class. So each instructor handles their class differently in terms of percentage face-to-face.
Thank you so much for answering. The next question, I'll just pose it to anybody on the team. Can we as parents approach academic counselors for my student and know how the student is progressing and set up the semester courses and reset work? If so, how can we do that?
So I can answer that. So the parents need to work closely with their student. That would be the best way to do that, and get their student to make sure they're reaching out to their academic advisor and the counselor, because the counselor is not going to be able to really share information with the parents in regards to student progress. So what I would suggest is work closely with your student, make sure your student is reaching out to their academic advisor to determine what their schedule will be for next semester and their classwork. That's the best way to approach that.
Thank you so much, Chris. The next question that I have is for Recha. If you can talk a little bit more about some of the innovative and just extracurricular programs and resources that you talked about, and how they help students in the application process and searching for a job, and some of the skills that they can gain, and just some of the benefits from like really partaking in some of the things that you spoke about earlier.
No problem. And so Chris can talk about this a bunch when he talks about to our parents that for a long time and for most traditional programs, you have two paths after you graduate from college. Go to a graduate school or work for a Fortune 100 company. And so those are kind of it. And so with Entrepreneurship and Innovation at Georgia Tech, we're giving students a third option where they can actually start their own companies and be successful at it. So instead of using your brain power to increase the revenue of somebody else, you're actually doing that for yourself. So that's kind of one of the things that students can think about, or you can think about when you're encouraging your students to participate in our innovation and entrepreneurship programs. The other reality is that a lot of companies that our students actually want to work with are actually looking for students with that startup mindset. And so a lot of companies are actually treating their organizations as startups. So if you look at the tech square at the moment, we have a lot of innovation hubs there. And the reason why they're coming to Georgia Tech's backyard is that they want our students to be there so that they can actually encourage that whole innovation entrepreneurship mindset to actually help their companies grow and do better in the different things that they're providing to the community. And so when you have your student, encourage your students to participate in innovation and entrepreneurship activities at Georgia Tech, what you're actually saying or what you're encouraging them to do is develop that mindset, that problem-solving mindset, to actually think about the end user or the customer. That's something that they're going to need at their job, their future jobs anyway. And so that's some of the tangible benefits in terms of making them ready for the world of work. The other things that we're doing is actually networking as well. So when they come to these events, similar to living learning communities, they're working or they're being around students with a similar interest, goals, mindset. So if you're thinking about whether or not you want to expand the network of your students and expand what they're exposed to, this is a fantastic opportunity for them. One of the examples I would give you is that we have a student organization called Startup Exchange, and they do a ton of activities related to innovation, entrepreneurship, helping their members to actually develop their ideas. What we have found with our Startup Exchange students is because they're actually working as CEOs and co-directors of this organization and planning events and doing all these things related to innovation and entrepreneurship in this small organization, they're actually primed and they're so successful when they actually go into the world of work, because they have developed all those skill sets that will take a regular person many years to develop at a company. They've actually walked into that company with that skill set. So when we're thinking about innovation entrepreneurship at Georgia Tech, we encourage your students to do that, because it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to start their own companies, but they're actually giving them a wide range of skills. And so some of the things that we're doing this year, if your student wants to develop their idea or start their own company, we are actually working with them on pitching. And so that's what Chris mentioned, the event that we had yesterday is giving students kind of pitch ideas, how you can actually talk about your idea, your potential company, and you can use this concept for classes. You know, you can use this concept for actually developing your idea and talking to investors and just different things like that. We also have one about basic financials that startups need as well. So kind of getting that business hat on when you're thinking about your company. We are doing marketing as well. So we're doing a workshop on how do you market your ideas. And so those are some of the workshops that we're doing, but there are also practical classes as well that students can sign up for in spring, usually related to the CreateX program that is very much geared towards helping students develop their own startups. And so these are some of the things, and I'm hoping that with all of what I've said, I've actually answered your question, Tyler, but it was a lot, so.
Yes, thanks so much. Chris, did you want to add anything?
No, I think Recha covered it really well. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities, you know, at Georgia Tech in terms of student innovation. CreateX is a huge program that's helping our students launch startups. This summer, they had more than 70 students launch startups this summer. So a lot of opportunities for, you know, for students to get involved in entrepreneurship or student innovation here at Tech.
Great. The next question that we have for the team is, if I'm a parent, how early should I encourage my student to get involved in research if they're a first year, or should I wait until the second year, or so on and so forth?
Okay, so Tyler, I will definitely take that question. We get this question asked to us a lot about when a student should be getting involved with research, and the answer is when it best works for them. We have many first years that come into Tech with a scholarship or already have an opportunity lined up. We have a lot of students who are searching now for an opportunity for spring. But it really is when it's going to work best for the student. Research is an experience, it's not a class. So they have to be sure that they can fit it in during their free time. So blocks of time that are not taken up by classes. It does require commitment and being dependable and showing up for work in the lab and participating in a team environment and producing quality work. So if you have a student who has a really heavy semester, rigorous semester with a lot of time-consuming courses, I would make sure that they hold off for a little while. I see a question just popped up. It seems no research ambassadors in mechanical or aerospace engineering. All of our research ambassadors are trained to go through any opportunity available not dependent on major. Just because we don't have a research ambassador that has a background in aerospace engineering doesn't mean that a research or ambassador cannot talk to them in regards to any research opportunities. A lot of our ambassadors have done multiple opportunities, not just here at Georgia Tech, but we have several that have done a research experience during the summer. They have done research abroad, so they can talk to you students about all types of opportunities. But back to the question about when it's going to work best for the student. Some students start early, some students wait until their third or fourth year, but ultimately it's when it works best for the student, and it can be at the beginning of the semester, the middle of the semester, or even at the end of the semester.
Thank you so much, Allyson, for sharing that. The next question that I have, I'll probably shift it over to Chris. From a holistic and office standpoint, how are all of these great opportunities and resources advertised to students?
So we do a lot of advertising, but it's the best place is just to go to our website. I believe Christina has listed there, engagement.oue.tech.edu, and you can find pretty much anything we talked about and much more in terms of our the programs that we run. You know, we have several social media accounts and newsletters, e-newsletters that go out, and so that would be a great thing for your students and even you to sign up for, to see some of the information that we distribute. Obviously, we're getting out a lot of times, and we're speaking at Facet. We're doing sessions like this. We're going to GG1000 classes. So there's plenty of opportunities for students to connect with us. So if you have a student, we certainly encourage them to reach out to us, and we'll try to get them connected to whatever program they're interested in.
Great, sounds good, sounds good. Seems that we are getting to the end. So we'll give it one more minute, last call for questions or comments. If you have any for the team here today, please feel free to drop those in the Q&A. Other than that, does anybody from the team have any closing remarks or any lasting tips of advice that we can leave with our parents here today as we embark on the rest of the semester?
One of the things I will mention is you know, be bold. For the students to be bold, don't hesitate to get involved in these activities. A lot of times, by getting involved in these opportunities, you find out what you want to do or what you don't want to do, right? And that's a good outcome, either one. So I would certainly encourage the students to be bold, to get involved. You know, Allyson mentioned research. Typically, students that are involved in research, they're usually working 9 to 12 hours in the lab per week. That's kind of the time frame in a general sense, if they're thinking about what the time commitment might be. But really, it's between the student and the faculty to make those arrangements. Is there anyone else from our team that wants to mention anything?
We appreciate you all being here, and stay safe.
Thank you so much again. I second that. Thank you for being here. Again, if you need anything, we're here as a resource for your students. And also, you have our website. It has our contact information. If you have a question that you can't even find an answer for, we're also here as a resource as well. So we'll help to point you in the right direction and actually try to get those questions answered as well. So whatever it is, and that's one of the things that I really like about Georgia Tech. We're here to help your students in whatever capacity we can. And so just keep that in mind.
Yes, I'd like to reiterate, thank you so much for joining us. And what Chris said, talk to your student, work with your student. Encourage them to explore everything that Tech has to offer. They're only here for a limited time during their college experience, so they can do whatever they set their mind to. That's the whole point of Tech.
I think we have a last question about how parents, well, we have a few questions, but how parents can help the students in this process. And so I think we realized we put these many different opportunities and experiences available to our students, knowing that not everything is for every student, right? And so kind of have that conversation with your student, knowing who they are, and actually help to point them in that direction. So if they, if you know that they're kind of shy, a living learning community may be the best option for them, because that is a built-in environment where they'll find friends. If you know that they love to explore, then research and innovation may be the thing for them that you can have that conversation about. And if you're thinking that, you know what, I want you to get a heads up on what's happening so that you can feel comfortable when the craziness of Georgia Tech happens with all the activities and fun things that are going on, then Ignite would be the program for you. And so I think knowing what's going on at Georgia Tech, similar to joining up here for this conversation, and then kind of knowing what your student likes and point them in that direction is what I think would be one of the things that you can actually do.
Thank you so much, Recha. And I think we have a couple last minute questions for Allyson. What are the best opportunities for a student that is not interested in research, but interested in leadership?
So there is a great leadership program called Lead. If I'm not mistaken, Christina, let me know if I'm not mistaken, Stacy Dormus helps oversee that program, and they are in the Division of Student Life. So I would definitely check out Lead if they are more interested in leadership. I see the other question is explain research for credit or for pay. So there's two ways that students can do undergraduate research at Tech. They can do research for academic credit. That is a tuition-based course, and they do receive a letter grade. And then there are opportunities for research for pay where a student is paid for the work that they're doing in that lab, and that is a tuition-free audit course. And so it's really up to the student and the faculty member to determine if it's going to be research for credit or research for pay. And a student can also volunteer their time, but most students do look at research for credit over research for pay, and some of that is funding, and a lot of times it's more beneficial for the student for the credit. I hope that answers your question. If not, email me offline and I'm happy to go further with that.
Yes, and that actually brings me to my last question as well. Is there an email address for your office or Chris, UROP's office as a whole, where parents can just email you all questions to kind of get some more information on things?
So I think the best, because obviously we have several emails with different people and programs, so the best thing to do would be to go to the website that Christina mentioned, engagement.godtech.edu. And you can also just do a web search for any of our programs, Undergraduate Research, Student Innovation, Summer, Living Learning Communities at Tech, and you'll find all the contact information that you need.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Well, parents and family members, thank you so much for joining us here today. We are so glad to have the Academic Engagement Programs team with us, just sharing some great resources and programs and some really cool things that we're doing on campus just to help support your student. Parents, please mark your calendars for tomorrow at 12 p.m. We will be joined by the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life, just talking about hazing prevention. It is Hazing Prevention Week and understanding hazing and student safety. So that will be at 12 p.m. And then at 3 p.m. Tomorrow, we will be joined by Georgia Tech, the Office of the Arts, and just kind of talking about some of the cool things they do, some of the nice events that they host, and also how your student can get engaged if they're interested in the arts. You can find the attendee link on our website, parents.gatech.edu, under Stay Connected. And then you'll go to virtual recordings. Then you'll click on the PDF link to the full schedule, which will have the attendee links. And there will be a recording of this video available within the next 24 hours on that same website. So please stay tuned for that. We'll also post the recording on YouTube and on Facebook as well, on our parent Facebook page. But once again, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 12 p.m. for our Fraternity and Sorority Life presentation, and then at 3 p.m. for Georgia Tech Office of the Arts. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.